Chihiro has finally reclaimed Enten, and we are at the climax of the Rakuzachi arc. Chapter 37 of Kagurabachi is here. Let's talk about it. It was a great one. The chapter begins with Hakuri explaining his new powers. He has ISO and the storage ability, and Chihiro's like, I let you go on your own path and fight Saya because I did not want to dampen your determination, and now because of that, we are equals, and Hakuri is really happy about this. And then we go back to the two other siblings, and they're like, hey, they're about to break through the door that we're protecting. And then we see Cloud Gouger, and it breaks, but it's still together. They're heading to the door, and then she was like, hey Hakuri, does your power have control over your father's storehouse? And he's like, nah, I think we have different storehouses and I can only access mine. He says he doesn't think so. He thinks that there's two storehouses and he has his own and his father has his own, and he doesn't think he can access it. The only hope is the door that the two has been guarding, and they go and open the doors to that door, and then they see, and it's broken, and Chihiro's like, what happened to the door? It's broken. One of the two members is like, that was the door we were protecting? They didn't know that it was broken the whole time. But basically, the whole time, Kyoara knew the door was broken, but he didn't care. He wanted to bring them in so the two could defeat him. His plan didn't work out, and the two were defeated, and Tenri died. But it was all for the sake of that door being broken, and having Chihiro trapped at the Rakuzachi. And then the two powers up their Isos and says they won't let Tenri's death be in vain. And then the two goes to attack them, but Shiba says fall back. And then we look at Kyoara's storehouse and we see that woman we've seen from before. But then they retreated, and Hakuri is thinking of his father, and he's like, hey, don't you love me? And he's like, Mr. Shiba. Then we see the auction and Kyoara is speaking, but then we see Hakuri going on the steps, and Hakuri is standing right there. And he has ISO and the storage room technique activated, and Kyoara instantly recognizes that he has the technique now. Hakuri is trying to break into his own storage unit, and he's like, you're the enemy now. Like, all the ties we had before, it's done. We're not connected at all. And he's like, we're gonna kill you. And Hakuri's like, I wanted to abandon you. And then he has the weapon that Saya used to torture him with, and he teleports it to his father's storehouse, so he's able to transfer items throughout both spaces. And then Hakuri falls to the ground because he's exhausted, and he says, I can't pull anything from there, but I can send items there. And then Kyoara pulls up to the storage unit, and then he sees from above, and he sends Chihiro to the storage house, and he sees his sword. Kyoara's like, the sword he has right now is basically useless, and he's like, I'm just gonna attack him. And he uses the storehouse to create some weapon. Then he shoots these boxes at Chihiro, and then Chihiro's like, look, Cloud Gouger, I know you're almost dead, but I need you to pull through for me right here. And he says, pull it together for me, May. And then we see the other prisoners inside the storehouse, and then boom, Chihiro destroys the whole entire attack with Cloud Gouger. This page looks great. Hokozono, you're killing it. And then in the clouds, Chihiro starts talking, and he says, Hakuri, we are not equal. You were able to defeat your brother despite being family and going through everything you went through. You were able to pull through. But for me, I just could not control my emotions twice. He couldn't control himself through those situations, and he's the only naive one now. Then Cloud Gouger disappears and just is done for. And he says, if I couldn't defeat him back there, then I have no right to wield an enchanted blade. Is this Kyoara speaking or Chihiro? I think it's Kyoara. I don't know. And then Chihiro says, Enten. And the chapter ends with Hakuri saying, please slay my father. And Chihiro says, you got it. Hokozono, you cooked. You have finally mastered, like, your flow of Kagurabachi. Like, I think everything up until this point and at this chapter is just, everything is paying off. The first few chapters of this arc, like, it wasn't much that we were getting, but as the chapters kept on coming, we were like, okay, this is building towards something. And now, at the end of this chapter, we are finally at the climax of this arc, and everything that we've seen so far has built up to it, and it feels so great for it to be paying off right now. I believe we're probably going to get like 4 or 5 more chapters left in this arc, but then it's over. I'm super excited to see how this wraps up. He's probably going to defeat Kyoara, or he's just going to take all of Kyoara's value away. I don't know what's going to happen. He says, please slay my father, so maybe he will. We'll have to see what happens. Let me know, y'all, what y'all think.